The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and/or the persons appearing on the program, and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRC Media, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
Welcome to Spindle City Straight Talk, everyone. I'm CJ.
And I'm Chip, I think.
It's getting to be very interesting.
Yeah, it is. So, hello, and we're here, we hope, and going out, and the 23 cases of coronavirus reported in the city of Fall River. That's the primary headline. That was at yesterday's press conference, I believe. CJ?
Yes, that's correct.
So the total continues to rise. I guess the next big story is that actually even Market Basket ran out of toilet paper. So
I understand you were there for that.
Another shipment in today. Yeah, it was surprising because the last time I was there, they were restocking. Yeah, and but they still had lobster meat. But yeah.
Well, somebody posted this morning that 7:30 this morning, Stop and Shop was loaded. They had plenty of chicken and plenty of roast, plenty of beef and whatnot. The problem that I have with these people posting this stuff on Facebook is they're the ones that create the demand. They create the excessive demand. And with this being the first of the month already, the market's going to start getting busy between the 1st and the 5th. So people need to understand, you are not buying for the month. You're buying week to week. Do not try to buy for the month. There's going to be food there if you allow the stores to restock. But when you go in and you try to hoard everything, you're not doing any favors to anyone except for your own selfishness. So please buy only what you would normally buy and not everything under the sun.
Well, yeah, that's true. But the problem is, that's not human nature. They're not buying for the month. They're buying for the next 3 months because they're buying until the fall. They're looking at the coronavirus being an issue until probably the fall, really, based on the estimates we're seeing and the projections. They're looking at obviously April. It's April Fool's Day, so we're not fooling. We are on the air, but they're talking about till May, and then of course June. It's going to plateau, and then it's going to begin to dissipate. But we're still going to have issues with this thing for a very, very long time. So, I think some of these people are buying until September, and as you said, they're being selfish, and it's just not the right thing to do. They seem to ignore. They seem to do the exact opposite of what they are told to do by the powers that be.
According to a psychologist, he says that the reason people do this is because they're trying to put control on something. They're trying to take back control because they don't have any control over this whole coronavirus situation. And I can understand that. But, taking control does not necessarily mean you have to be selfish. And, what are you going to do with 2,000 rolls of toilet paper? I saw a liquor store, Somerset liquor store, that has a display of toilet paper, $1 a roll. Really? $1 a roll? It's $5 for a package of 6, but which is about $1 a roll. But again, it's just getting to be a little ridiculous.
Well, that's one of the problems too. Far too many psychologists. What are you taking control of when you hoard toilet paper? To me, as I said, we're gonna have to classify them as just being selfish pinheads because there's no reason for it. Obviously you don't want to run out of toilet paper, but you don't need to hoard, hundreds of rolls and walk out of there and get enough rolls that, if even if you sustain dysentery, you'll have enough toilet paper for 6 months. So this is crazy. This is just people, unfortunately, being what they normally are, which are, they're walking self-interest groups. That's what they are. They only do things that benefit them, and it's saying, well, help with everybody else. And that flies in the face of what they're trying to be. We're trying to be saying, let's, as a society, behave for the greater good of the society, not for our own selfish needs. And that's problematic. And that's the problem we see. That's why we see basketball games, and they have to arrest that pastor down in Florida got arrested for having, basically saying, I don't care if you're telling me to quarantine, I'm bringing hundreds of people into a church, and it's crazy, and it's human nature. So that's all we can do. And I heard, I don't know if you did, CJ, I heard Senator Michael Roderick this morning on the radio a little bit. I caught the tail end of it. And he was talking about how, the economy is going to be devastated, and it's going to be slow going back, and blah, blah, blah. And, and they have to worry about, the money. Well, you have $1.1 billion surplus in this state. I don't think this is, they love to make a case for more taxes at some point in time. But let's see what happens, because we're saying to the people, the checks are in the mail from the feds, right?
That's what they're saying. But interestingly enough, you just brought up about Mike Rogers saying that this is going to be tough on our economy. Yes, it is. But the president is saying that he's expecting that once this is over, or once this is under control, that the economy is going to bounce back. And I think the economy will bounce back, because what's going to happen is you're going to have a lot of people almost immediately brought back to work. You're going to have all those waiters, all those waitresses, all those kitchen people, all those people in restaurants and bars, all going to be brought back to work. You're going to have all the retail stores reopened. So again, those are all people that are going to be brought back to work. The problem that I have, and a lot of other people may see it, is that this stimulus package we have, while it gives every individual $1,200 and children $500 apiece, it also grants a $600 payment a week on unemployment benefits. So to some people, it may be better to not go back to work and just keep collecting the bumped up unemployment benefits for the 4 months that they've bumped them up. I don't know, but we'll see what happens.
Well, you're right, and obviously, there's going to be an uptick in. I mean, some restaurants may not survive, but a lot of restaurants, once they open their doors again, are going to see a whole bunch of people, because there are a lot of people like me that really would like to go somewhere and sit down and have a meal. And once these places open again, you're going to see, I think, a tremendous surge to these places, and a lot of people are going to take advantage of things that they haven't been able to take advantage of in months. Most people in this country are not really used to being denied anything. They can basically do anything they want, anytime they want, and they can go to a restaurant. And they can, they're ignoring even the laws now. So the fact is, or the directives, and so I think you're going to see, a major surge in restaurants, and people are going to go out and buy things, and it's basically, this is like a self-imposed. It's almost like we're revisiting what they did in World War II when they rationed everything. But now they've eliminated your ability to do certain things. And I think once that's lifted, you're going to see people go out and take advantage. And I think the economy will snap back to a degree. I mean, it won't be instantaneous, because some businesses are going to be hurt irreparably, I think. But I think Bentley's moving there behind you. You better be. But Yeah, I think you're going to see something like that, and it's unfortunate. But the problem I see more than economics is in politics. It seems like the politics of everything has come to a complete halt. All everybody's talking about is how they're going to respond to the coronavirus, and we see uh, basically everything put on hold. And remember, what is going to be really affected is we entered this coronavirus pandemic with a $4.7 million shortfall in our budget. And now with people paying, maybe not paying their taxes, and we're not going to get the revenue in that we normally did get in, I don't know what we're going to be facing when this is all over, because we still have to revisit the fact that, remember, our financial crack, half of our crack financial team is still in charge of finances. And remember, the previous 2 fiscal years, they said how great the city was. So I'm still waiting for an explanation as to how we went from we're in tremendous shape. We got $8 or $9 million to throw around. We're in the best financial shape in the history of the city. To we've got a $4.7 million shortfall in the budget, and even Will Flanagan commented on that, said, "Well, there's going to be something wrong. You can't go from one year saying everything's perfect without some kind of explanation, or they weren't being accurate in the previous thing." So these are the things that still weigh on my mind. And this is a good diversion for these people to make everybody forget that we're in a crapper when it comes to the finances.
I agree with you. I agree with you totally. I think it's very interesting that, as you said, we were $8 million up, and then we had to start spending that money. We had to spend $1.6 million for the school department, $1 million on something else that came out of that stabilization fund. How much money's left in that fund? How much was in that fund originally? Do we really know? I mean, we know what we've been told, but do we actually know what was there? And that's what makes it very interesting. The big issue is going to be, because I haven't heard the mayor speak about this at all, nor have I heard any members of the city council. The city council has been very quiet throughout this entire process. They've canceled all meetings, but the school committee met. The school committee just met this week. They had 3 people in person, 3 people on internet, like we are, coming into remote attendance, which they can do, which is perfectly legal. And why can't the city council do the same thing? Why can't they have a Zoom meeting and put it all together and allow that to happen? I don't see what the problem is there. We can continue with city government if they did that, but they don't. And this is why we have no answers as to our financial situation. And as I was saying, the mayor hasn't spoken about whether or not he's going to allow the delay in taxes to be paid. The state has said that we are going to delay taxes to be paid. They're giving us till July 15th to file our income taxes. They had said that it is okay for the municipalities to allow for late payments of property taxes, utility bills, et cetera, and to waive the interest and fees. But when you go to make a payment, the city still takes a fee from you, whether it be 40 cents for an electronic check, or 15% of the payment, or 25% of the payment for a credit card fee. This is excessive, especially during this time when the city hall is closed. So why isn't the mayor doing something about that? Why isn't the mayor addressing the fact that this is difficult for the people of Fall River, and by attaching more fees to them to pay their bills for the revenue that they're complaining they're not getting? Wouldn't it be better? Isn't it better to take a lot, to give up a little? I mean, all they're going to give up is 40 cents for a check, or $3 or $4 for a credit card transaction, and they're going to bring in $300 or $400? No, of course not. They want the $300 or $400 plus they want the fee. Do the people a favor here. Come on, Mr. Mayor. Do something right. allow for an extension of the payment of property taxes, and allow for those taxes to be paid without fees. Allow the public to pay their fees, pay their bills without fees. Their water bill, their excise tax, their property tax, whatever it may be, allow them to pay it online without any fees. It's about time you do something to help the people of Fall River.
Well, you're right. And I think a big point you just made, CJ, is the city council they should be meeting because, listen, we all know that even when they do meet and there was no coronavirus pandemic, that it was always the budgets brought down at the 11th hour and everybody says, oh, we can't go to a 112 budget, and they make an excuse to pass budgets that are detrimental to the taxpayer. And here we are with a situation where we know we got a major problem in this budget cycle, and they're not meeting at all. So what is that going to mean? I mean, we're quarantined until May. The budget hearings are going to be basically past due. And we're going to now have to deal with, see, to me, this is a great excuse for them because we don't have the time to sit them in front of the council and ask them, how did we get here? How did we create this $4.7 million deficit from an $8 or $9 million surplus? Mary Sahadi has to be answering these questions because her numbers have been off for decades. She has gone before that council, misrepresented fact numerous times, and most recently the healthcare facts, among numerous other areas that she misrepresents. They were going to call the PEC in front to clear the air. We haven't been there. So there are a lot of issues that are facing us. We have to continue with business. Granted, you have to continue as we are. We have to do it now from our homes, but we're still trying to conduct business. And the city, I think, has an obligation, especially facing, look, if we had an $8 or $10 million surplus and the budget was going to go through with no problem because we're in great shape, that's a different story. We're facing a deficit. We've got all kinds of questions. There's been misrepresentations of fact that we have to deal with, and we're not going to be able to deal with it. Why? Because the city council is not meeting. And the mayor is not talking about it. Look, he has a daily coronavirus meeting. Let's start daily about what we're doing to find out how we got this deficit. What are you doing now? Mary Sahadi can't go to Florida once a month now because she can't fly down there anymore. And she can't do business over the phone. So the reality is, why aren't we working? Since the finance is essential and they're there, why aren't we working to figure out how the hell we got here? CJ, I can't hear you. Your mic's off, I think.
Sorry about that. City Councilor Cliff Fontaine, you need to wake up. You need to hold meetings. You need to do something. Do them remotely, just like the school committee did. If the school committee can meet, why can't the city council? Because these are questions that need to be asked now. They can't wait. And the biggest problem we have, too, is that the office of the mayor keeps sending things down to the city council to put on the agenda at the last minute. It's not your meeting, Mr. Mayor. It's not your meeting. If you can't figure out that you need that on the agenda before the agenda is published, it can wait till the next agenda. Nothing is that important. Nothing. And if you have these meetings remotely, I think the reason why they don't want to do it is because they're not going to get their camera time. They love their camera time. They, let their jaws drop and keep yapping away, and they don't say anything. And that's the problem. When we put the cameras into the city council chamber, all of a sudden Everybody needed to say something. Instead of focusing on business, they're focusing on, do I look good on camera? Am I all set? Do I have something important to say? Can I just talk to be heard? I don't know. It just gets to be very ridiculous.
No, you're right. And we need to continue to conduct the business. The fact is that the world is still turning. People, obviously the pandemic is of critical importance and stopped a lot of things, but it hasn't stopped the fact that we have to continue to look at the economic picture. The president is looking at what we're going to do and looking for ways to infuse the economy to keep us from tanking from the world collapsing financially. So we have to do the same thing on our level, on the local level. And you can't do that unless you got people working on it. It's not just the doctors that we see every day with the coronavirus updates. The people in the Fed, the people that are working with the finances of this nation, they're working every single day in Washington to try to save the world and the nation's economy. And we have to be doing the same thing in the city of Fall River. This is an excuse for everybody to sit on their thumbs and at the end say, well, we're in a deficit, we have to raise taxes, we have to raise fees, we have to do this, and we never find out how we got here, because we know, you and I know how we got here. Because it's the same people doing the books that were here when we had an $8 million deficit, and that was never explained, even though there were factors that we knew of. But this one came out of nowhere, because there's no landfill closing. There's no Dominion suit out there with a settlement. We had Flanagan shenanigans with a whole litany of things, collective bargaining agreements that weren't factored in. And that's a factor today. But we identified many of the problems that created that $8 million deficit. But we haven't really identified any of the areas that have caused this $4.7 million deficit. And that is a problem to me, because I'm a taxpayer. And frankly, I'm sick and tired of Mary Zahadi telling me that I got to pay 2.5 max and have an override on top every year she decides to spend more money than we have.
It just gets to be ridiculous because we hear the same thing over and over again. And for us as a community to move forward, even during this time of self-isolation, self-quarantine, we need government to continue on. There are people in government center doing work. We, the public, aren't allowed to be in there, but there are people in government center doing work. They're classified as essential employees. And they're in there doing work. You have somebody in the city clerk's office. You have somebody in the water department. You have somebody in traffic. You have somebody in every department there just about, and they're doing work. But no business is actually getting conducted. They're just there, so we're paying them salaries, but nobody is doing any work. We need city government to start moving forward. It was really nice to see that the mayor and Richard Aguiar went out to pick up hand sanitizer for the city, for the homeless. But what else is there? I know the mayor's doing some work. I know he's at 4 o'clock, he's publishing the number of COVID cases in Fall River. I know he's publishing, what's closed, what's open, and what's going on. But a lot of that's coming from Tess Curran, who's doing a lot of this work. I want to know, what are you doing right now about the finances? What are you doing to have city government run? Because without city government running, we have nothing. We're just paying people to do nothing. It's time for the city to take back what needs to be done. If the state legislature can meet, so can the city council. If the state legislature can meet, so can the school committee. And the school committee did. If the state legislature can meet, so can the subcommittees of the city council. It's time for the city council to get off their butts and to get back to work.
Yeah, you're 100% right. Because remember, this is why the government always runs out of sand. Because all they look at is how to get more money to satisfy that insatiable appetite for money. They're looking at the GIC to shift the cost to the employees in the healthcare. They're looking at tax increases. They're looking at bringing in the debt override that we said was going to come coming in next year. all more to get down more money from a beleaguered taxpayer. And these taxpayers now are going to be in big trouble because some of them have lost their jobs. They can't work now, and they're collecting unemployment, but that's not enough for them to have the money. So the fact that they continue to look for ways to pay the bills that they created without looking as to why the budget keeps going up, but we really don't see any difference in the services that we get. Why are you overspending? If you were up, well, you do. But if you look at the size of the police departments, the fire departments, DCM, they're all much, much less than they were 10 years ago. And look at the size of the budget today. Look at the salaries. Look at the things. But there's never any attempt. When you or I overspend, and we look at our budget and say, yeah, I can't pay this. I'm spending too much. Well, maybe you got to stop trying to pay off your 72 credit cards. Maybe you got to stop, having lobster and filet mignon every day for lunch. The average person has to look at their budget and say, well, I can't continue to keep spending because I'm going to run out of money. But the government doesn't run out of money because they keep taking it from us. And now, more than ever, it's going to be more difficult for us to give them that money. And we shouldn't have to give them that money because the government's not there to gouge us. It's there to provide us with services and keep themselves lean. But they don't. They haven't in years. And it's time for the taxpayers to rise up and fight against this. And now they're going to use this coronavirus as a big excuse to try to ramrod all this stuff down our throat.
I agree. It's going to be very interesting to see how that works out. Well, we're running out of time here, but I'll tell you now, if the city government doesn't take charge, we're going to have to. And if we don't take charge, the city's going to go to hell in a handbasket. So remember that, people. Because we're locked in, we can't do a lot of things that we wanted to do, but it's time for the people of Fall River to rise up and take back their government. And I guess we're just about out of time now, Chip. It was great seeing you online. It's great that you're viewing us at home, people, and we'll keep trying to bring you shows every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Thanks for watching.